Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Second Story Theater in beautiful downtown Port Coquitlam. It's time for the Improvised Vinyl Cafe with Stewart MacLean. Thank you very much. Well, it's just been one of those months, hasn't it? Just when we felt certain that summer had arrived, we were treated to days with overcast skies, temperature drops, and even a few showers. But despite all of this, it's been a very enjoyable summer so far. And the start of August is a time for us to look both backwards and forwards. We start to take a look at the lists we made for ourselves of all the things we were going to accomplish before the summer was over. Then we look back on what we've done so far and we gauge our success. But the good thing about August is it still gives us time to accomplish the truly important things. So long as we keep that in mind, we look forward to the rest of the month. And so trips are planned, projects are worked on, and friends and family get together to share food and create memories. Looking back on my own childhood, I remember all of these big things, the road trips down to the States, the home renovations, and the family reunions at Francis Lake. But these days, I find myself instead recalling the little things, the moments in between. I can't drive past a KFC without thinking of those hot summer days spent at the beach with my cousins, leaving the water only to eat fried chicken and slather on more sunscreen. And a refreshingly cool shower on a hot day brings back the sense of darting through the sprinkler on the front lawn. And because of my dad's love of a good bargain, I always like to keep smaller bills in my wallet during the summer, especially on weekends. I can't drive by a yard sale without being overcome by the need to pull over and scour the items displayed on tables and blankets and driveways. You never know when it might happen, that serendipitous moment when you find that one thing, that one perfect thing. You look it over and you realize you're meant to have it. It's perfect for you, it's exactly what you need, and you feel foolish for not even recognizing how empty your life was before you had it, before you knew you needed it, before you even knew what it was. So you get the attention of perfection's owner, and then you start the negotiations. And you haggle with every trick you know, and you threaten to walk away even though you know you can't. And you finally, when you say that you can't possibly spend $1 more and this is your final offer and may the Lord strike you down if you're a liar. And after all that, is there anything more embarrassing than pulling out your wallet and having to ask sheepishly, can you break a 20? Well, we're going to bring out the improvisers in just a moment, but first I want to make sure that, is this actually on? Is the volume actually up?
You want a different mic?
I think I ought to be fine. So I just want to make sure that's much better, Condor. I'll be thanking Condor at the end of the show, but I'm also going to give a shout out to him right now. So we have a team of improvisers backstage ready to put on a special show for you tonight. Because we're going to be making everything up from this point on, I'm going to make sure that you're ready to give me suggestions when I come to you. And so when I say, well, what's your name? You're going to shout out at me and say, yeah. It's nice to meet you. And when I say, if you could go to any place in the world, where would that be?
Mauritius.
Oh, Mauritius. That's where the dodo was. It's a shame about the dodo. I know it was a long time ago, but some things still cut. And so when I say, if there was an animal that you that's extinct that you could bring back to life? You're going to tell me that it's the
Tasmanian devil.
Tasmanian devil. Do we not still have Tasmanian devils? I thought it was the Tasmanian wolf.
Oh,
It might be.
I'm sorry.
But I'd like to have the ones that actually spin.
Yeah.
Those would be
Come
nice.
on.
All right, well, you seem like you're pretty well warmed up, so why don't we give a big round of applause as we welcome to the stage the improvisers.
I don't know how energetic we should be.
As energetic as the CBC requires. Take that however you want. So please, would you introduce yourselves to our audience?
I'm Richard. I am also Richard.
I'm Jordan. And I'm Daniel.
Well, these are our improvisers for tonight. Now, you may have seen some of them playing earlier in the evening. They did a very wonderful show, but I'm going to make sure that they're well warmed up, and I'm going to have them do a tap-out monologue. So if one of you would please step to the stage to start.
Sure.
So Richard is going to start by telling a story, and at any point the other improvisers will step up, tap him on the shoulder, as Daniel is showing you, and take over the story from exactly where Richard left off. So if you would, audience, what would you like to hear our improvisers tell a story about?
Cookies.
Cookies? All right. It's a story about cookies.
The American Health Organization has released a recent report showing that cookies are as dangerous for children as many street drugs are for everyone else.
The new report has brought in a large number of new laws, including the illegalization of the chocolate chip. Now,
I've never wanted to break a law before, but this one to me seems slightly ridiculous. Because I love to bake cookies, because they're fantastic. And you're going to tell me that cookies are just as bad for a kid as...
Cocaine? No. I mean, I took cookies when I was a kid. All the other kids at school took cookies. I'm pretty sure.
that you're okay. And honestly, who's giving kids cocaine? I'm not. I'm giving them cookies. Delicious, oven-baked.
Cookies. Unfortunately, standing outside of an elementary school with bags of cookies is a little suspicious.
And I think we're going to end the story.
Illegal.
If I could please get Richard and Daniel to step to the front of the stage. Richard, Meen, and Jordan, you may sit down. Richard, Meen.
Okay.
Yes. And if the pair of you would please link arms. And now I would like for you to please speak in one voice. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very glad to have tonight on the Improvised Vinyl Cafe an expert who's here to explain something very special. And it's about the musical instrument that they play, and it's very unusual. It's not something you would normally consider a musical instrument. And what is that thing? Sorry?
Tongue drum. Yeah,
The tongue drum.
that's right.
Whatever that means to you.
Tongue drum.
Yes. So, please, would you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, my name is Thomas Freely.
Thomas Freely. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And now tell me, how does one play the tongue drum?
Well, you use your tongue and you beat it on the drum.
Oh, I see. Now, what do you do to make the drum resistant to your saliva?
Well, you have to lay down on it and you must grab hold and
not interfering with the reverberations, is there a special costume that you like to wear while playing the tongue drum?
Absolutely!
And what is that costume?
That costume is the... That costume is the birthday suit.
All right, well, I think that's about all the CBC is going to let us talk about.
Would you like a demonstration?
Time for that. Oh. Now, if anyone has any further questions, maybe they do want to see a demonstration, is there a website where they can go for that?
Yes. www.tonguedrumU.com.
That's Thomas Rayleigh, expert of the tongue drum. Well, that was very. You can take it.
Oh, yes, thank you.
If you like. There's no pressure. Now, of course, it's not just these four improvisers. We actually have a very special musical guest here tonight, and I'm very glad to invite him up to play guitar for us. We have Mike Murray. Would you please come up and... It's a pleasure to have you on again. So please, if I could have crowd favorite Richard Wiens. Pleasure to have you on our show.
Very nice to meet you, Stewart.
Yes. Now, Richard, you have been collaborating with Mike on your debut solo album. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is
Okay.
correct. He's a very talented man.
He is, as you are yourself.
Wow, thank you, Stewart.
And now, the title of his debut album is what is a time of year? Autumn. Something from the back.
Spring.
Spring. All right. And what is that emotion that someone might feel? Just any simple
No,
emotion.
Twitter-pated. Giddy.
Twitter-pated. Have you seen it? I take it you've seen that.
Indeed, I have seen.
All right. Well, this is the title track of Richard Wiens' debut album in association with Mike Murray, and it is called Spring Twitter-pated.
Like to wake up in the sun and go outside, but only when it's warm outside. Kick off the covers and I'll throw the curtains wide. I might see a beautiful girl out there, and then I feel something. It's a new age song. I might meet someone new outside my door. She has brown hair, brown eyes, and makes my heart fall on the floor. I feel like a vibrating bunny. I feel like I could be funny, but I don't want to sound uncool, so I just say hi. My name is Richard. I think that feeling is Twitter-pated blues. Springtime Twitter-pated blues.
for the Improvised Vinyl Cafe Story Exchange. Well, you may or may not know how this works. We're going to get an audience member to share a story with us. It needs to be a true story and it needs to be a short story, but after that it doesn't need to be anything at all. After that it's up to you. So is there someone in the audience who would like to share a story about just a memory they have of the summertime, whether it's this summer or a past summer? Any brave member of our audience who wants to step forward?
Lauren wants to go up.
No.
The girl in the black sweater had her hand up.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Do you not want to come to the
What did you
stage?
do this weekend? Last weekend. I was in a play.
You were to play.
Yeah! That sounds like a memory.
I know this one.
So please, I'm Stewart.
Hi, Lauren.
Lauren, well, pleasure to meet you. And where do you live, Lauren?
In Maple Ridge.
In Maple Ridge. Okay. Now, was there anything particularly
Sorry?
special? Was there anything particularly special about what happened last weekend at the play?
Richard spanked my ass.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So, the way this is going to work is the improvisers are going to come to the stage and they're going to act out the story for you, for all of us. And if you would like to take a seat on the block here. Now, every time the improvisers or myself as narrator get a detail right, you just ring the bell.
Okay.
And any time they get something wrong, you just honk the horn. And they'll go and change it until they get it right.
Okay.
Make sense?
Get what wrong?
Just any detail. If they say a person's name and that wasn't the person's name,
Oh, okay.
or if they say what time of day it was and that's not right, just let us know and we'll fix it. All right, so if we could please get whoever wants to start. So this story comes to us from Lauren from Maple Ridge. Dear Stewart, she writes, well, you wouldn't believe it. It was a Friday night. It was a Saturday night. And I was getting ready to start a play. I was getting ready to play a supporting role in the play. I was already in the play. We were in the middle of the first act. I was in the scene and I was delivering my lines when another actor walked on stage. His name was Richard and he was a very tall man. His name was Richard and he was a very handsome man. Oh! Wow. His name was Richard and he has a heart of gold. You are allowed to talk, I should say.
I'm trying to remember her lines.
I don't even know yours.
Well, you're co-starred and you brought me a letter and it's the wrong letter. What are you going to do about that? I'm the princess and I know everybody else's lines. I know, but she didn't honk the horn. I'm the princess and I constantly had to have my sidekicks say my lines for me.
Woo!
My lady, your letter.
Thank you, fool.
And that was when Richard left the stage, without incident. And that was when Richard hung around behind me, reading over my shoulder. And as I continued to deliver my lines, as the play continued on around us,
It's really your heart of gold I love the most. I wish you were a little taller.
that's when Richard said something unexpected. That's when Richard did something unexpected. That's when Richard did something I absolutely loved. And I think we're going to end that there.
Searching for a...
Thank you.
if I could have all 4 improvisers to the stage.
I want to see more Richard's making.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what we wanted.
Well,
I want to see who's like.
funny you should say that because they're actually put together a dance troupe. They specialize in interpretive dance set to musical accompaniment.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And this particular dance is about something that you would expect a man like Richard to really enjoy doing. So what is something
Oh, can
that...
we say it?
What do you think Richard would really enjoy? It could be anything. An ice cream cone?
Yes.
Is that it? What else do we have for suggestions?
Shaving his head.
Shaving his head. So this is an interpretive dance about shaving his head. Let's give him a big round of applause, get him started.
Whatever we want.
So much that I want to see another, but instead of just an interpretive dance, I want to see a scene in mime set to music, if you would be so kind, Mike. So please tell me, what is any summertime activity that a family, as this obviously is, would gather together and do?
Slip and slide.
Slip and slide. Maybe not.
Camping.
I don't.
Camping. So, this is a mime scene set to music about camping.
We think the suggestion was building a tent.
Were they right, audience? Woo!
Hey!
Woo! Close enough. All right, improvisers, if you would please sit back down on the bench. And now it's time for the last thing we're going to do for you, which is the improvised David Morley story. Improvisers are going to be acting it out as all the characters, as I provide narration for what's happening. And now it's a very special day for David Morley's family. It's a special occasion in the summer. So what is that special occasion that's going on?
BC Day.
It's BC Day. All right. So this is a story we like to call BC Day. Sam woke up in the morning at 10:30. He rubbed his eyes and looked at the sun that was outside of his window. It was already getting high in the sky. He'd been up late last night with his friend Murphy, who had slept over because of the long weekend. Murphy had gotten out of his sleeping bag in the middle of the night and curled up at the foot of Sam's bed. Just so weird when you consider that they're only 11. Well, Sam had just turned 11, Murphy was still only 10. So as they got up out of bed, and they strolled down the hallway and down the stairs and came into the kitchen, and that's where they found Dave, sitting at the table and drinking his tea. "Hey, Dad," said Sam. "Hello, sir," said Murphy. Dave said, "Good morning, boys. What do you have planned for the day?" The boys looked at each other and just sort of shrugged. They hadn't thought of anything. They spent all night just reading comic books and not really planning what they were going to do with their Monday off. As Sam drank orange juice straight from the carton, passing it to Murphy, who got himself a glass because he was a guest, and he knows better. Dave said, "You know what I liked to do when I was young and I had a day off?" Sam shook his head. Dave said, "I used to just go out into the woods, just see what I could find." Sam and Murphy liked that idea. An adventure out in the woods. They'd be just like... Suddenly, Sam realized that maybe he wasn't going to get to go out today. But that's okay, because Dave was in too good of a mood to let a broken glass spoil it. And so he swept it up and he said, "You know, why don't I take you boys out for a drive? We'll go out in the country. You'll be able to hike through the trails. It'll be good. I'll relax and take the day to myself, and you boys can go out and just be with the trees and squirrels and whatever else you come across." And the boys looked at each other and smiled and said, "That'd be great." And so, an hour later, after they'd driven all the long way, they stepped out of the car, both boys still giddy with anticipation about what was going to happen. That's when Dave looked at Sam, his son, and he thought about when he was 11 years old and all the free time he used to have. How there were so many rules and restrictions on children these days. about how there were so many schedules and times to keep that Sam didn't really have time to just be himself. So Dave reached into his pocket and he pulled out a pocket knife. It was a simple thing. It had a black exterior. It was carved to make it look like wood. And it only had 3 blades in it. They were all nicked up and dull. Sam took them out one at a time and inspected them, feeling how sharp it was against the skin of his finger. And he said, "This is yours." And Dave said, "You can use it for today." So Sam put the knife, closed the knife up, and put it in his pocket. And Dave gave his son a hug and said, "I'll be here when you're done. Just stay on the trails, okay?" And Sam said, "We will, Dad." And he and Murphy grabbed their backpacks from the back seat of the car and set off into the woods. Now, it was a trail that Sam had been taken on before by his father, and he knew it somewhat. He pointed out the tree that had actually split into 2 separate trunks. Murphy was impressed. He thought, well, how did it do that? How did it know to just go around like that? Sam said, well, it's just the way the tree is supposed to be. And so the 2 kept on walking. Sam wanted to take Murphy to his favorite part of the trail. It's where there was just a little bit of a lake and a waterfall. Though really it was just an oversized pond and about a foot drop of where the creek was. But to Sam, it was a magical place. He figured no one else in the world knew where it was, except for him and his father. So Sam took off his shoes and rolled up his pants to wade out into the stream to try and catch some of the minnows that collected in the shoals, his feet freezing in the frigid glacial waters coming down from the summer melt. But every time he grabbed at the minnows, they just darted away. Murphy stood on the shore and was picking up small rocks. He was trying to find one perfect for skipping. And Sam said, "We'll try that one over there." So Murphy picked it up, pulled his arm back, and flung the small stone forward. He missed the surface of the water and hit a tree trunk. But it bounced back and skipped along the water. "I totally meant to do that," said Murphy. Sam was impressed. So Sam started looking for his own pebble. And Murphy looked at Sam and he said, "This is really great, you know? It's like a perfect little spot." Sam said, "I know. No one knows about it. It's just for me and, well, you, too, I guess." Murphy felt glad to have a friend like that. A friend who would share with him something so special, so rare. So Sam tried his own luck, wound back with his arm, and pitched the stone forward. He hit the same tree trunk. This time it pinged up, ricocheted off a low-hanging branch, and then hit something with a clang. Sam said, well, what was that? And Murphy said, I don't know. I'll take a look. And Murphy went over to the spot where he'd seen the stone fallen. Putting on his hip waders. Taking off his backpack. Putting it on. He took his backpack with him, because it made him feel secure. And while Sam busied himself on a nearby tree, Murphy stepped into the deepest part of the pool. Coming up for air. This is not that kind of story, Daniel. And he waded over towards the... keep turning back, Richard. You can't see any of this. You could do something else with that tree, you know. And that's when Murphy saw it. It was a glint of metal in the sunlight coming through the trees. He swam over, and he reached to a crevice in between the rocks where the petals had been. And he picked up eventually picked up a bracelet, which was snagged on a tree limb. And Murphy thought, wow, real treasure. He swam back to shore, and he got back up. And for a second, he was going to run up to Sam. He was going to say, look what I found. But then he stopped. And he saw what Sam was doing. He carved both their names into the tree trunk with his father's pocket knife. The words read, "This place is just for Sam and Murphy." Sam said, well, what do you think of that? And Murphy said, it looks good. And Sam said, well, did you find what the stone hit? Murphy thought about showing the bracelet to Sam. He thought about saying, this is what was over there. But then he thought about what that meant. It meant that someone had lost it, which meant that someone had been there, to their special place that was just for them. So Murphy closed his hand around the bracelet, turned back to Sam and said, it was nothing. And then he said, we really should be getting back. Your father's probably waiting for us. And as Sam bent over to tie his shoes back up, to put on his backpack, Murphy crept over to the edge of the water and tossed the bracelet back in where it belonged. The two of them walked back down the trail, talking about all the other great adventures they were going to have over the summer. And that spot has remained to this day just for them. Thank you.
That was great.
Glad you enjoyed that. I have a very special announcement for you, our audience, and that is that the Improvised Vinyl Cafe is now going on the road in between shows here at Second Story Theater. That's right, we will be taking the show anywhere you want us to go. So if you would care to name any fictional or non-fictional location, we will go there in the next month, and when we come back on the first Saturday of September, we'll tell you all about it. So please, if I could get from you, what is any fictional or non-fictional location?
Narnia. I'm still gonna say that.
All right, so over the next month, we're going to take our show on the road to Narnia. So please do come back for the first Saturday night in September, where we will tell you all about our travels. And so I have just one last question for you, improvisers. Did you have a good time tonight?
Yeah.
Audience, did you enjoy what you saw? All right. Well, I'd like to thank Connor Chambers for the technical assistance. Mike Murray was our special musical guest. Jordan Boivin is a story editor. Richard Wiens is the music producer. Richard Meen is our downtown courier. The Improvised Vinyl Cafe is produced by Daniel Child. I'm Stewart MacLean. So long for now.